Hello, everybody, Kane here today with another episode of our Aquarium series, and today we're building the entirety of the exterior. Well, most of it. 70-80% of the exterior of this building. A feat which took me about 2.5 hours to do. Wait, did it? Yeah, about 2.5 hours for and I know I mentioned this later on in the video, but not only that, this is 2.5 hours of progress that I recorded over this week. Well, I say this week, over like the past couple of days, and as well as the fact that this is the second time I've recorded it, because the first time the time lapses broke and I lost about like nearly 2 hours of footage, so I had to reset the world and go back and redo it all, which is so much fun. I love that. Thank you, Replay Mod. Thank you for all the animal mods I have breaking the world. Yes, thank you so much. I love this. Anyway, aside from my crippling depression, we have made a rather astounding amount of progress, and not only that, the progress here has really just drove home just how insane of a build this really is. This is probably the largest single structure I've ever made. I don't think I've ever built anything this insane before because, well, why would I build something this insane? It's also scaring me for how crazy I mean, I do have the advantage with this that I have worlds edit, we have creative mode, we have, you know, the ability to fly. And I'm gonna be building something like this in survival probably sometime either later this year or next year, and that is a terrifying thought because this build is insane. It's actually kind of driving me crazy. That being said, before people are like, oh my gosh, do you not like that? I love the build. I do. I've had a blast working on this. It's kind of like, oh my goodness, I did not realize what I was signing up for here. Because it was not meant to be this big of a project. When I started thinking about this back in December and planning out like, okay, well, this is what we'll do, here's some ideas. No, this was meant to be a much smaller project than it turned out to be. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, this is what we have so far. You're gonna notice something, and that is the time lapse. There's gonna be a couple of jumps of the camera position because this is, I think, 4 different time lapses actually, which wasn't. Well, it was done for 2 reasons. A, if I cut them about every 30 to 50 minutes, it was less likely that time lapse would get corrupted. And B, that was about how long I could manage to sit down and build this for. So like I did it in about 50-ish minute, like I said, 30 to 50 minute sections where I'll build, take a break, work on homework, do school, all that kind of stuff, and then probably come back the next day, work for another hour, and stuff like that. I think the only time I did 2 of these in one day was the last 2, but one was like before my classes and the other was when I got home, so yeah. Anyway, you can see up here I'm building some little like air conditioning and greebling. I mean, it is just greebling. It's just weird little things on the roof to kind of add a bit of interest, add a bit of color, add a bit of height variation and all this. And these are the only ones I built. I kind of didn't run out of time, ran out of motivation to add more of these. There are going to be a ton more, mostly because this roof is gigantic and there is so much empty space on it. I need to add something to it to make it look cool. And yeah, that's what we're doing. Anyway, also this time lapse is all over the place in a lot of ways. It wasn't until after about this point, which is like the halfway point, that I realized, you know, this is meant to be finish the exterior of the build, not build the interior of the building. So I spent a dramatic, is that even can you say I spent a dramatic amount of time? Is that English? We'll count it as English. I spent a dramatic amount of time on a staircase. Yeah, that's that. I spent way too much time working on this because the whole thing, the funny thing is like, you know, it's not even something that's like important, the exterior of the build and getting the whole build done. I just was like, hey, I should put a staircase here. And then I built a staircase and now we have a staircase. And that's that's literally it. And yeah, I spent way too much time on this when I could have been building the outside the building like I'm supposed to. Yeah, this again, the issue of my brain, you know, going 3 quadrillion miles an hour and having the attention span of a goldfish. I just randomly move from project to project and spend way too much time on things I shouldn't. Also, again, this was like a separate day from the first bit, so you know, I wasn't really, I don't know, it's kind of like, you know, I lost my train of thought in a way, so I kind of forgot I'm supposed to be focusing on stuff that isn't the interior of the building and whatnot. But yeah, here you can see me just I mean, this is going to be a big part of the video, which is just me placing down andesite, because that's what we're using as the roof texture. Although I'll probably come back through and mix in some gravel and some stone and whatever, maybe a bit of cobblestone, make it look a bit nicer, you know, a bit less monotone. Granted, the thing with the build this big is, I mean, I think this technically counts as a mega build, right? So one thing I've learned with mega builds is that putting too much detail into them is absolutely insane, because A, it looks really busy from far away, and B, you're gonna want to pull your hair out because it takes forever to do anything detail-wise, because you know you're dealing with you're dealing with a build that's like 7 times the size of stuff you normally build in this game, so you're like, okay, this is a wee bit crazy, you know. Maybe I'm going a little bit insane, you know, just a tad go crazy, you know, all that kind of stuff, all that fun stuff, you know. But yeah, over here I'm adding in the gift shop, a second gift shop, I guess. I don't really know. I haven't figured out exactly what this is. I tried to do like a plaster effect, so like, oh, we've had like, you know, this is an older building or whatever, and it was like plaster on the outside, but then the plaster started fading and then we just got the bricks, but that was really hard to do and I didn't get it to look right, so I just gave up on that and decided to just go with a solid brick wall, because TBH, I have no idea why I did it. I'm trying to think back, because that was like, so I recorded the time lapses over a few days, right? And it's been about a day and a half since I recorded the last one. So I'm kind of trying to remember here what I was doing in this one. I think I decided to add the brick building in because we had this really long, like, just wall, like, empty wall between the cafeteria area and the sharks. So I was like, well, we need to do something here. So I decided to add the brick wall area because I thought it would, like, you know, make things look a bit more interesting and add a splash of color, which is something we desperately needed because everything here is like this, like, very industrial white color. And now granted, despite it being somewhat plain, because I'm only using really like a couple of colors to build the whole building, it is very aquarium looking because I did try and do a reasonable amount of research on, you know, what do aquariums look like, and they tend to be very boxy, monotone looking buildings on the outside because all the fun stuff's on the inside. You know, where all the fishies are and whatnot. So yeah, that was it looks like that time was ended a bit too early, but anyway, now I'm moving on to the outside of the shark tank, which is probably the just most annoying area to build because, see, now it looks really cool. Obviously with the actual aquarium, you know, the shark tank looks cool and the irregular shape is kind of fun. It is really annoying to build a shell around that, because that's what this building is in a lot of ways. Because typically, what you're supposed to do is build the building first and then fill the building up. But we've literally built a building in reverse. We built the entire interior and then we're literally just building a shell around it right now. And there are a lot of inherent problems that come with that. Namely being, you kind of get some weird areas where setting things up just doesn't really work like you kind of hoped it would. You kind of got like really weird areas and you're like, well, I gotta figure out how to fix this now. But yeah, we're trying to do some detailing out here. To be honest, this whole area starts to look a bit like a medieval castle, with how I choose to like do some greebling on like the sides, but I really like it. It's kind of cool. It looks like a very fortified concrete structure, which I was like, well, I feel like that makes sense because, you know, water's heavy, especially when you get a ton of it, and that's a lot of pressure and force. So in my mind, at least, it would make sense that the building like the specific area housing the most, the giant tank, right, is going to have super thick concrete walls and like tons of reinforcement to make sure nothing breaks. Especially if you have like somewhat aggressive animals that might like, slam up against something. You might reinforce that a little bit more so that way nothing can damage the tank. So yeah, that's what we did there. I didn't do any of. By the way, we don't finish this necessarily. Like I said, it's about like 80% done. I'm probably gonna finish the rest of it off camera just because it's gonna be another hour or so, and I don't really feel like making another hour-long time lapse of me just placing down andesite. But yeah, I also didn't do any of the gardening yet, which is really weird to say. But yeah, we got a fair bit of gardening. We gotta finish the patio outside. We gotta finish the pathways on the outside, and then we'll have to come back. By the way, there will probably be a few more episodes on the actual aquarium than I figured there was going to be. Like, my plan had been, okay, we're just gonna, we'll just spend, like, this episode and maybe one more, just doing, like, the final decorations on this building before we head off to work on the other ones. But now it's starting to look like, okay, we're probably going to have to spend we can probably spend several more episodes on this building. Just because I found that we have a lot more space now that I've really worked on adding in the ceilings and stuff. So the second floor can have several aquariums of its own, which is kind of cool. Or several tanks of its own, which is kind of cool. We could throw in some animals I didn't really feel like I had space for. Not really too sure which ones those would be. I'd have to look back through my my vast collection of spawn eggs to figure out which ones I don't have yet. Yeah, that's a bit of an arduous process. But yeah, let me know if you guys would like to see more animals on the second floor, or if you guys are like, just move on, go do other stuff with this world. In which case, I will gladly go do that. Anyway, this is probably the longest part of the time lapse, and this is where I decided to go try and get the back area finished up. And this was simultaneously, it felt like the easiest part and the most like just dreary, boring, I don't want to do this part. Because on one hand, since it's the back of the building, I don't need to do that much detailing because, realistically, this is the area you're never going to see. You're not, most people, you're not gonna walk around the back of the building to look. That being said, knowing me, I'm also probably gonna throw details back there later. Again, not on camera, I'll probably just like, I don't know, throw a maintenance shed or something, and maybe, what else would I throw back there? I don't really know. Maybe a maintenance shed, maybe like some staff entrances or whatever, a like garage door or two, I guess. I don't really know. Purely aesthetic things that aren't actually usable or like useful. So like if I put doors back there, they're not gonna really be openable or anything, and there won't be anything behind them. It's just there to look cool, which is the motto of me building anything. But yeah, so since I didn't have to detail too much, like we did make a lot of progress here, and this shot right here really just does show you the sheer scale of this build. It's insane. I have never built anything of this scale before, and yeah, who knows if I ever will do this again. I mean, we'll probably do other aquariums and other zoos sometime in the future, but man, I don't know if I'll ever do another build this scale. Well, actually, I will definitely do other builds of this scale, just not this kind of build in this scale. I'm up for doing, like, I don't know, I do want to kind of get into doing mega builds and stuff like that. Doing the big third-person time lapses where, I don't know, I build something over the course of a month and then showcase it or whatever. I don't know. I'm sure you guys know what I mean. I'm just explaining it poorly. Oh, also, I did these like air vents, skylight areas above these two of our coral reef exhibits, and I think this is kind of how I'm gonna do the lighting for some of the builds. Other ones, I'm going to try and do suspended lighting, kind of like we had for that cichlid exhibit at the very beginning of the series. So, yeah. Oh, so man, I'm just thinking back to that first time lapse now in the first like episode of the series, and just how vastly different the building looks now compared to what it started as. Wow, It's kind of insane. It really does blow my mind a bit. Gotta do a bit of the old stretching so I don't, you know, explode from, I don't know, my spine probably just being horrendously messed up, but well, it isn't, don't worry. I am actually fine. I don't know, going a bit crazy, going a wee bit insane. But yeah, at any rate, I've made a lot of progress here, guys. Yeah, again, it's pretty crazy to me. Just I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, and I didn't obviously finish. But for how much time I was able to spend building, it's kind of cool just how much I got finished. This building is insane. It's just huge, and there's a helicopter outside. Very annoying helicopters. But yeah, it's just kind of cool to see how much we've been able to get done in, like, well, I mean, it's like we're like a third of the way through March, I guess. So I'm going to count, well, and we didn't start at the beginning of January. So in 2 months, with me spending, you know, far less time on this than I really wanted to be able to spend on this whole series, I'm pretty impressed with how much we've gotten done. I think it's really cool. Yeah, it's just been cool to see these past few days, just see the build really start coming together, and see, you know, like all the stuff we've worked on for the past few months really just start to fall into place. And yeah, that's been really, really cool. I really enjoyed that. Let me know what you guys think of the build so far. I think it's turning out really well. Let me know also whatever you guys think I should add to the building. You know, what do you guys want to see here? Do you want to see more exhibits? What kind of decorations do you want to see? All that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna let the rest of this play out, and I'll catch back up with you guys in the showcase. All right, everyone, here we are, and after quite a lot of building, this is what we have. So it's not finished. Again, due to time constraints and the fact I didn't want to have to spend a whole nother week just trying to find time to work on this. I'm gonna call it here for right now. We are gonna come back, obviously, and spend another episode just building, or maybe we won't spend another episode working on the exterior. Maybe I'll just finish the exterior off camera, and I'll make an episode out of something else with this, cause wow, you know, it's not until you know you really work on building a shell around the build that you realize suddenly how much you've actually built. Cause dang, this is by far one of the largest, if not the largest, projects I've ever made. At least for a single like building type thing. I mean, obviously I've built bigger zoos, but yeah, I've never built a structure this large, which is kind of crazy. So I haven't done the voiceovers for the time lapses yet because they are still rendering, and yeah, that's not really fun. So I have no idea what I've talked about, so I'm just gonna hopefully remember what I talk about here. I probably won't, knowing me, so if I repeat anything, whatever. But yeah, so a couple things that I've got planned, I guess, in any rate. So there is gonna be a dome going here. Because there was always going to be a dome here, and I don't know really how it's going to work necessarily. It may not even end up being a dome, I guess. It could just be a flat, like, glass ceiling. But I do want a glass ceiling here because I think that'll look cool. In fact, I do want some skylights in a couple of areas on the second floor. Not really sure exactly where they're going to be going. We'll kind of figure that out as we go along. You know how it is. Anyway... yeah, so we gotta do that, and obviously we've got to finish off the back area over here, getting all the walls in, getting the ceiling in, getting all that stuff done, and connecting this up to that. So there's a fair amount left to do. Granted, yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna do it off camera just because that's gonna be a lot easier. It's probably, you know, what would I wager this would be in off camera time? Probably, you know, like... maybe an hour? Maybe an hour I could get all this done if I have time. Yeah, I could probably do that in an hour. I feel like that's like a reasonable amount of time, I think. Anyway, yeah, so, well, actually, granted, after all that, I've got to do stuff like this. So this is, I think, out of all of them, this is the only unit I made that I don't like. I don't really know what these are. They're like air conditioning units, I guess, but this one's a bit too tall, they think, but like that looks really cool. Don't really know what that is, and those are really simple, but yeah, just chucking these around. I'm actually considering even throwing some sort of like maintenance shed type thing up here. Part of me even wanted to put a greenhouse up on the roof. I'm not really sure why, but I felt like that would be a really cool idea. Also, so one thing actually I'll mention, I'm sure I'm gonna end up mentioning this in the time lapse knowing me, but this brick building here, which is a gift shop that I mentioned, hopefully, yeah, I'm getting rid of the roof on this thing and making a new one because it looked cool in my head, but did not turn out very well. Maybe I just need to switch the block type out, we'll see. But yeah, also I have to say, at least for the exterior, this is now my favorite. The entrance is now my favorite part of this. It really is. I love this, like, I don't know, dual slanting roof. I feel like that's really cool looking. It's got like a really interesting and unique look to it. And yeah, it just, I don't know, like that looks really cool to me. I like, you know, you can see these cool little windows up here. Obviously we do still need to do a lot of detailing on the walls all around the build actually, and I need to probably extend the patio type thing we've got here out quite a bit and probably build another section of it here, bringing the pathways around towards what's like the dock area and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot of work still to do on this. Luckily, we probably aren't finishing the whole series build type thing, whatever, you know, until April, so sometime in April. So yeah, I've still got a bit of time. But anyway, if we quickly start flying through here, there aren't any animals in here because, well, you'll obviously have noticed the time lapse. You know what? Can I get like a torch out? Because I think that'll make it a bit brighter in here. Let's just chuck some torches down, or I could be even smarter. Which, I mean, for me, is kind of. There we go. I did have to get rid of all the animals actually because the animals are the reason the time lapses were breaking. So yeah, I got rid of them and the time lapses weren't breaking anymore. So that was really awesome because for those of you who don't know, I'm sure I'll have actually mentioned this in the time lapse as well because it's like 20 something minutes of footage. The reason this episode took so long to make is because I did a lot of this and then all the time-lapse footage broke, so I had to revert the world back to the save before I started finishing the exterior and then restart. So that happened, and that's why there's no longer any animals in here, but we'll spawn them back in for, you know, the tour and all that. But anyway, one thing I really wanted to talk about real quick is the fact, well, I mean, we have all these rooms down here, and I have plans for most of these. And man, we have a lot more space in here than I think I really realized. Like, it's not until, you know, we really add the shell on that we like the shell, the actual building itself, that I realized, like, oh dang, there's actually tons of space in here. Because if we fly over here, like, there's a lot of room for a whole second story and tons of extra tanks up here. Like, I mean, my goodness, there is just an insane amount of room for me to throw in extra exhibits. So, that does extend the life of the series, which I'm sure some people are very happy about. Just because, well, now I actually have all the extra space I need to get in some of the exhibits I didn't quite think I was going to be able to get fit into the building. So maybe we can get the oarfish in. I'm trying to think what else I really wanted to throw in here. We could do like a couple more tropical fish exhibits, and we already did the arowana. Yeah, we did the arowanas. I forgot about that. I was like, I really wanted to do that build. I did do that build. Good for me. Good on me. I actually built something I wanted to build. We could get like a horseshoe crab exhibit in. I don't know. Maybe we could even have like a museum section up here. And, you know, I can install, I don't know, fossils and archaeology or something, and just put some aquatic skeletons up there. Who knows? But yeah, we can certainly do a few extra exhibits. So let me know. Do you guys want to see some extra builds up here or not? You know, because we do have a bit of space. If not, if people don't want to, if people just want this to be like the end of this build, I'm also okay with that, because once we finish all this up, we're just going to be moving, I think. So you'll notice during the time lapse, I did leave this area open, and there's a good reason for that. A, because I kind of just didn't want to build it right now, and B, because I'm thinking the next building necessarily, I don't know if it'll be directly connected, but basically it's going to start somewhere around right here. I haven't figured out if that's going to be our stuff for the porpoises yet, or if that's going to be our Arctic building. But we're going to have another building like right over here. And then, well, yeah, I think that's going to be our Arctic building, because I was thinking we could use this cove we've got here as our dolphin area. So we'll like, we like build like a seawall or something over here, and keep, build like a couple of stands around the beach, stuff like that. We'll see. I haven't fully planned that out, but yeah, at any rate, that's kind of what I'm thinking for post-aquarium builds on the island before we finish the series off, and maybe I'll let you guys download this world. Although, like I've said before, this world is it's buggy, it's laggy, and it crashes fairly often. So I'm not sure how many of you would actually be able to run this. But yeah. Oh, I don't think this actually showed up in the time lapse very well, did it? Yeah, this didn't. But I put these in. I also blocked off the shark tunnel. I forgot. One of the things I need to show off in these builds is the actual like things I changed that you guys didn't really get to see from the time lapse. But yeah, I put this in. I don't really know what it is. I think I'll just put plants or like a waterfall and then some plants or something. You know, make it look pretty and whatnot. But yeah. Anyway, that's that, and I think that's really all I've got to show off. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you've all had, yeah, I hope you've all at least marginally enjoyed seeing this all, and yeah, see you all next episode.